Well, thanks, Tom. I have a very special guest here in studio today, none other than Troy Brown, Marshall legend and Super Bowl champion and national champion. So thank you so much for joining us here in Studio A today, Troy.
Yep, high school champion.
High school champion, yeah, exactly.
So you can't leave them out. You know?
Right, you got to hit all of
yes,
them.
Indeed.
So.
Yeah.
It's always great to, we talked a little bit before we went on here. It's always great to have Marshall greats and obviously people that have succeeded at the highest level come into studio and be back at Marshall. So what's it like being, I know you're in and out, you're in New England doing stuff for the Patriots and you're back here, you said you had a house here. Good to be back?
It's always good to be back here, man. I get to lay a little low here and I get to enjoy my kids and, so they've all grown up now, so I got one out of high school now and one junior up at Huntington High. So I got a 4-year-old. So it's good to get back and just be able to relax and chill a little bit, and also get to see a lot of people that I went to school with around here and play ball with, and so a little hard sometimes because everybody's got kids and they're chasing the kids here and there, but still good to be back amongst basically family.
Right, it's a nice trip down memory lane.
Yes, it is.
I know you have a book, Patriot Pride, and I do want to talk about that, but I want to talk about some Marshall stuff for a second. Just pick your brain on a few things. I know we talked in '06. You were given the Distinguished Alumni Award. Obviously you have a litany of accolades in your career, but something like that, a prestigious award given to you by the university, what does that mean to you?
Well, for me, I think those kind of things, it took me by surprise to be a distinguished alumni, so I was, in my mind, I was thinking about people more of in the business field or, somebody that's going on to do some great movie or something, and then just some huge mega star, but so it was definitely, something that I took with a lot of pride, being able to receive that award, the Distinguished Alumni. That's saying a lot for a lot of people that's come through here, and just for me being an athlete and being a Distinguished Alumni, I think it meant a lot for the culture. I think that kind of that era of the late 80s, the early 90s, that when the sport started to take over, the basketball team in the 80s, the football teams in the late 80s and into the 90s, started to build a name here at Marshall. So, kind of put our sports programs on the map a little bit. So,
right.
So it was great. I was definitely humbled by it. So.
And you talk about the 80s and the 90s and putting the programs on the map for younger people like myself. I wasn't alive during the 1991 national championship game against Youngstown State. Kind of walk me through that. I mean, what is it like really being on that stage and playing in that big of a game?
Yeah, it was a huge game, especially for me. And what we talk about a lot of the players is that when actually we go back to 1970 when the plane crash happened, a lot of those players are seniors on that team were just being born in 1970. So we lost the year before, and then to come back and win it when they moved the actual championship game to Huntington. And you kind of think it was kind of fitting that we lost it down in Georgia and then got back here, and to be able to win the first championship in school history here, it was pretty gratifying, man, and then pretty humbling. A lot of guys, a lot of emotions, running wild. A lot of people here in town because it meant so much to a lot of people here. So for us to be able to do that for guys who were born in 1970 and be playing their last game, at Marshall Stadium, and being able to bring a lot of healing maybe to a lot of people in the community. So it was a great feeling, a wonderful feeling to be a champion. But you also just thought about, and you saw so many tears from the people in the community that ran on the field, and people still talk about that moment to this day, because they waited 20 plus years for that moment to happen.
Well, and I think the biggest thing for somebody like myself that's not from here, the community has such a bond with the football program, especially. Really Marshall as a whole, but the football program especially. And you even look at it, that game, and then even games like when they carried they took the goalpost down and carried it down Third Ave, I think after the Conference USA championship win a couple of seasons ago. But Marshall has really embarked on. Last year was a down year, but Marshall has really had a long line of success the past couple of years. Well, as an alumni, somebody that sort of helped kick that off, how proud are you to see that legacy has continued?
Well, it's extremely gratifying and proud to see, not just the sports programs, but the university in itself is doing pretty well. I mean, every time I come back, and it's not like I'm gone for 6 months at a time, but I go back, I go away, and I come back, 3 weeks later, it's like a new building up, So, and so many guys that haven't been here, when they come back, they're surprised at how much the university's grown, and to get back to the sports programs, yeah, it's definitely gratifying, and I always like to pass credit on to like those guys that came back. You're talking about the movie just now. So many of those guys that came back and started to build this program back up. You think about it, 20 years is really not a long time when you start in a program after you lost so many. Right. Pretty much your whole team and whole coaching staff, wiped out by a plane crash. And to have those guys come back and demand that they have a football team, and they wanted to go out there and play knowing that they probably wouldn't be very good building a team from scratch, I think about that now, and I probably wouldn't be sitting here if those guys didn't do that, And so all those, lumps they took along the way, it helped us build to the program that we had in 1991 and 92. And all those guys, the 96 teams that go undefeated, the Randy Mosses, the Chad Penningtons, all those guys think owe a lot of gratitude to what those guys went through after the plane crash to get this program back on the right track.
Oh yeah, and that's why the game every year, the 1970 Remembrance Game is always a big game. I know that a lot of people were surprised that Marshall really took it to Middle Tennessee in that game, but there's something just about that game that I think everybody plays with sort of there's added importance to it, knowing you're representing the 75.
Yeah.
But so now you're up in New England. You're doing some work for Comcast Sportsnet New England. You played your whole career with the Patriots. You were drafted by them. Did you ever think you'd be in a position after your playing days to sort of stay around the Patriots and now move into the journalism field?
No, not at all. I shied away from the camera as a player, and used to hide. Didn't want to do a lot of interviews. Wasn't very confident in front of the camera, and I was just called with an opportunity to go do some radio, called with the opportunity to go do some football stuff on Sundays. And I'm like, what the heck? I'm just sitting here getting fat, watching the games down in the basement. So I get up and I go back up there and check it out, see if I like it or not. And you know what? I really started to love it, and it really brought me out of my shell a lot. And I started kicking myself like I should have been doing this the whole time, And I actually came over here and practiced a few times, and they got me to slow down my speech pattern, and because I would talk really fast and started to bumble my words together, and so Marshall helped me out in that aspect as well too. So and with the speech program over here, so right around the corner.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there, and I would come in and train 2 or 3 days a week. And so we got it down, man. They had me on the clock and all that stuff. So it was good, man. So it was a great program. So, and it brought me out of my shell.
Right.
And now, I'm not too afraid to get up and speak anymore, say what's on my mind, and so it's been really helpful to me. Besides keeping me involved in the game,
right.
It's helped me out personally and with my interactions with other people as well.
I know one of the biggest things people always talk about for pro football players when they get done is they don't know really what to do with themselves when you're so involved in the game. It's a big problem.
It's a huge problem, And a lot of people like I don't know what to do, But it's a huge problem, man. I was actually a little nervous about retiring, but because I heard so many stories and so many guys that I would talk to that were older than me, guys that I looked up to, and then when they were out of the game, they would have so many issues.
Yeah.
I mean, guys would turn to drinking. They couldn't watch the games, couldn't watch their old teammates play, and so I was a little nervous about that part of it, But I have to say, I don't know, maybe hearing all those stories and preparing myself for that day, right. I didn't take it as bad as I did, but I never didn't watch a game.
Right.
I was ready to watch it. I was ready to turn it on. Preseason games, I watched them all, and and the seasons, when the season started, before I decided to go back and do some radio and TV stuff, I was sitting there watching the games. I didn't have a need to go drink more beers and check more. I just wish I was back there. I was pretty much. I was satisfied, man. I played 15 years and won 3 championships. Played in 5 of them. So I was good, man. I had my fill, and so I didn't really have those issues about going back and playing. But I do. I mean, it was a huge problem for a lot of players because we live a structured life. Everything I did, since I was the age of 7 years old, was like, well, we got to go to training camp in August, and we got to be up at school at such a time, and then we got practice after school at 4 o'clock, and then and it was a whole routine my entire life. Slightly different year after year, but my entire life I was always on a schedule.
Right.
And then you wake up one morning and there's no schedule anymore.
You kind of just have free. You kind
So
of
it's
just
just like, what do you do? I mean, this is all I've done. And you talk about making a transition from college to the pros. I played 15 years. Well, everything I did in college, so it's like, well, I've been playing football for the last 15 years. I haven't been to class. I haven't, so it's like I can kind of see how guys get a little bit lost. But the league has put in some programs to kind of help guys make that transition from that lifestyle into a whole nother lifestyle. Because a lot of us, I was 36 when I was done.
Right.
Still young.
Exactly. Yeah.
And most guys are 25 or 26 when they're done. So you got a long time to live.
Right.
So it's they're doing a pretty good job of trying to help guys transition whenever that point may be, 25 and 35, to transition into a normal lifestyle.
It always cracks me up when I hear other sports journalists. They're like, "Oh, he's 36. He's old," and I'm like, "What? Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I guess
Yeah, it's funny, because you're sitting there watching this guy like, man, he's 36 years old, and and we get it, we do it too as fans too.
Right.
Like, man, that guy, man, he's old, man. He's 39 years old, like, dude, he's a young man.
I know.
So in the real world, and people don't really think about that part of it, especially before my days and before my era, before free agency era, guys didn't make any money.
Right.
So you're talking about a lot of guys that, really put a lot of time and effort into their careers and didn't come out of it with a whole lot on the back end. So that's, my heart goes out to those guys, but, that's the part that people don't see behind the scenes of not being able to play anymore. It's not like you going on to be the next anchor of the CBS Evening News or something.
Hey, I hope.
You can do it forever. You can do
Right.
it forever, but in our world, the thing that we love to do the most, it's going to be taken from you at any time, and you're going to be relatively young.
As they say, Father Time is undefeated.
So, so it's a tough business to be in.
Now, I have to ask before we get onto the book, what is it like playing with Tom Brady?
It's awesome, man, playing with Tom. It's sometimes challenging, but he's demanding, and so am I. So
Right.
I'm competitive. He's competitive, and so am I. And with every once in a while we want a little something different. But that's what makes it great. That's what makes that team, what it is that there's a competitive nature coming from him all the time, and he's always willing to challenge you, even when you think you're doing great. And there's always more that can be gained. And as you can tell by him, and his high expectations and his lofty goals that he set for himself. I think I just saw where he said he's playing another 6 or 7 years. Oh, good luck, good luck, man. So but the competitive nature of him, man, makes it great. It makes it a great place to play, and we would challenge from playing trash can basketball with a ball of tape, and he wouldn't quit until he won, so you miss on purpose or something. So, but dominoes, backgammon, whatever it is, it's always down to the wire, And
He's a competitor.
He's a competitor, man. But and it drives everybody else. So it's great playing with somebody like that. He's so knowledgeable of what he wants, in the game, and knows a lot about the game, knows how to study the game, prepare for it. So, and a lot of guys, the smart ones, they sit down and they watch him and they learn. Yep.
I couldn't imagine that, just playing with he's one of the greatest to do it in the game of football. I think if anybody can play another 6 or 7 years, I think it's Tom. Terrific.
Yeah, without a doubt. So he's done it. for this long, and I tell you what, this past season he's looked better than he looked in the last 3 or 4. So
He had a little
which
extra.
is kind of hard to believe, but he has looked a lot better.
He had a little extra motivation this time around.
He has a
I
little
think,
extra
too.
motivation. Yeah, he took all 4 games to start the season, but
He wanted to get that handshake at the end of the season from Goodell. I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So he really did.
So
now
yes,
I want to move on to the book. What was your the impetus behind writing Patriot Pride?
Well, I had a lot of people pushing me to do the book. You know, they kind of knew a little bit about my background growing up, how I got from junior college to Marshall, went into the league, and made it for 15 years in a tough business. So a lot of people, I didn't see the interest. You know, I like when people not going to be interested in reading about Troy Brown, Patriot Way, and, you know, what he did, picking cucumbers as a kid, you know, who wants to read about that kind of stuff, you know, but everybody was like, oh, it's a great story, you gotta do the book, you know, and so finally got a guy that really pushed me to do it, Mike Reese, you know, and who co-wrote the book with me, great guy, awesome guy, does a little work with ESPN as well, you know, and covers a team up in New England for ESPN. Mm-hmm. And he was willing to get out and hustle and do the research, man, and call people up and get stories, and it got done. So it really wasn't me that was really pushing to do the book, because I didn't think it was that interesting, you know. But now I'm glad I did. You know, I got a lot of great feedback about it, and everybody's saying it was a great read. It's not a hard book to read, easy book, you know, and not very long, and it just kind of gets into the meat and potatoes of, you know, what made Troy Brown the football player that we have all seen and loved over the years, and why did he take that approach the game the way that he did, and life the way that he did. So that's what we decided to do, man. I tried to put a lot of that stuff in the book and kind of connect the things I did growing up to things I did as a professional football player, being unselfish, doing whatever it takes to win, the work ethic that you know, that I was described as having. So, you know, so that, and I wanted to tie picking cucumbers at the age of 9 into playing defense and returning kicks and doing all those things as a, you know, 33, 34-year-old football player, and still trying to do the best I can to win. So, you know, and hopefully I did a good job. I've heard great things about it. They can see, you know, why I turned out the way I did.
Now, that was actually going to be my next question. You mentioned the feedback and the response. Overall, pretty good response to feedback you've heard from it? Yeah,
man. People seem to love it, you know. I mean, you know, every once in a while you get a negative comment, but that's okay, you know. I mean, that's life.
Right.
You know, so, right. But, you know, but overall, man, it's been nothing but great comments about it. And people love it. They want to give it to their kids, and, you know, which is, you know, why I wanted to write a clean book as well. So, you know, so I thought that was important, you know, to do as well. Because, you know, I mean, it's, you know, I guess it's a motivating book, you know, and, you know, you hear a lot of stories about, and I didn't really want it to be like you can overcome anything book. I just wanted to tell my story. And if that's what you got out of it, then great, you know. But still, I wanted, you know, people to be able to read it if you're 60, if you're 6. To be able to read it and be like, man, that guy went through that, he did that, you know, and he did what? He picked cucumbers for 50 cents a bucket, 5-gallon buckets, he did that. You know, he picked cantaloupes and pulled weeds out of peanut fields and those types of things growing up. Right. So, you know, and he never complained. So, and that's what it's all about, you know, and so, and that you can build a lot of things off of basically a little bit, and then it's all about giving back, because the way I ended up in college was that I didn't have a ton of stats in high school, and I was a pretty good player, pretty good athlete, you know, nothing special, but then because I worked so hard, my high school coach I got to get this guy into school, so and he hooked me up with the junior college coach in North Carolina, Lee McRae, and they gave me a $500 scholarship. I had no clue what that meant. So yeah, I got a scholarship to go to college. You know, my mom made me take it. We drove up and borrowed my brother's car and drove up and went to the orientation and all that stuff. And And went up there, I had no idea, knew nothing about financial aid, Pell Grants, none of that stuff. So, and I took that $500 and we turned it into a 15-year career up in New England. But again, that $500, I didn't know it was going to be $250 per semester. So I got $250 a semester, and it was $7,500 a year to go there. So we figured out some things from there, man. We worked in the summers and, loans and all that good stuff. But we got it taken care of. So it was the best $500 gift that I ever received. So, and and I just say, don't just turn your nose up at, getting a $500 scholarship. If it's $100, take a chance, man.
Yeah, take a chance.
So and so it's about people giving back as well too. It don't always have to be a ton, don't have to be a lot, don't have to be money all the time. So just a little bit of knowledge that you give to somebody. A little bit of inspiration that you give to somebody, the words you say to somebody, is all a part of giving back, and that's what I wanted the book to be about as well too, because I wanted to see what that $500 did for me, right. And I wouldn't be sitting here right now if I didn't take it. Somebody didn't give it. So.
Now, for people that want to get a copy of the book, if they don't already have it, what's the best way for them to get it?
Amazon.com. You can contact me. So I need to get all the information too. But the more Amazon.com is the one that pushed it. The Barnes and Nobles, they actually had it down here at Empire Books.
Oh yeah.
And then out at the mall. Okay. At help me with the names here.
Oh, I think there's a
Books a Million. Books a Million. They had it out there. So you can find a lot of those places. They don't have it. You can probably ask them to order it. So. Yeah, and check it out, man. So it's pretty good. From what I've
read about it, I read some snippets online. I've actually got a copy coming. I got it online. I've read some snippets of it. It's a great book. It's very, like you said, very inspirational, and it hopefully can pass that along to somebody else that maybe might be in the same situation. So thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
For joining us here in studio. I really appreciate you coming down. It was
anytime, man.
Great chance to talk to you. So, Tom, back over to you.